Do you find that it's hard to, like, how do you feel some actors don't like to be characterized by one role, or, you know, they were so famous for one character and they get, you know, they want to move on in their art and then they feel trapped by that.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel that?
Well, you know, it's one of those things. I mean, Malcolm in the Middle was a big show. You know, people know me as Malcolm. You know, fortunately, throughout my career, I was always working on movies, like during the hiatus and all that kind of stuff. So people did get to learn my name, you know, in a sense too, a little
And
bit.
other sides of you.
Yeah, and you know, so, you know, sure, now, you know, I got that question a lot when I was 18, 19, was how are you going to make that transition from being Malcolm or being a child actor to an adult actor? And when I was a kid, I was like, well, eventually I'll be 18, which means I'll be an adult and I'll continue acting, so I'll be an adult actor, right? Like, I mean, does it really have to be like a huge transition or this breakthrough role kind of thing? I didn't really think there needed to be. But when Malcolm ended, I decided to put acting on hold for a while to pursue race car driving. And, you know, I figured maybe it would almost be easier to come back if I were to come back, you know, 25, 26, or when I'm older, so people can kind of accept the fact that I'm an adult. You know, I don't know, you know, I don't know how it's going to work. But if I am just remembered as Malcolm for the rest of my life, that's still pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like, I was, you know, the fact that people can remember me as something, you know, is a good thing.
You appreciate that success.
For sure.
So let me ask you about that, because I find that very interesting that you were really at your peak and you, in a sense, walked away from acting and you considered a break. But how difficult was that to, I mean, that's such a different life, and so many people feel like if they're in it, they got to stay in it or they're going to miss their moment.
Well, for me, I wasn't necessarily thinking, oh, for my career, this might not be a good thing, or maybe a good thing or bad thing. I was thinking, I've done this for the last, you know, 12 years, and I have the opportunity to pursue another one of my dreams, my passions, which was driving race cars professionally, and I'm gonna go do it. You know what I mean? Like, it was one of those things, like, I had to pick, because you can't do both. A, nobody will insure you. No film role will insure you when you're racing cars.
Right.
But B, it's also, they're both full-time jobs. You know, people don't think that. They think, oh, you just go and say some lines, or you show up at the racetrack and you drive around. No, like, literally, like, when I was racing, if I wasn't at a racetrack, you know, training, I was physically training, I was in like really good shape. You're meeting with sponsors, and you know, there's always events going on to where it's full time. So that was kind of more my decision of going, I want to pursue racing and see where I can get, you know what I mean? And to do that, I have to put acting on the side. And also at that point, I was ready for some change, to tell you the truth. You know what I mean? Like, I was ready to do something new, you know what I mean? I wanted to go back to acting. You know what I mean? I didn't want to just continue to do it. I wanted to like be excited to show up on set. And not that I wasn't, because I was, but like it becomes, especially like being on a TV show where it's every day for 7 years, it becomes just your life. You show up and you know everyone, hey, you know, you say the words and you go home.
Right.
You know, I did an episode of Criminal Minds pretty much right after Malcolm ended. And that was very different, obviously, from anything I've ever done. I played a serial killer. And I had such a great time doing that. And I was like, this is how I want to feel. You know what I mean? Like, when I sign on to something, I want to do the best job I can possibly do. You know, so I went away and pursued the racing, and that was just the decision at that time. And you know, now I've gone into another direction with the band, and I also want to be on the PGA Tour, and
Pretty much, if you feel something in your heart, you just go for it. You don't.
Well, I feel like you have to. I mean, I consider myself extremely lucky and fortunate the fact that I have the opportunity to, you know, literally follow my dreams, or, you know, to do everything I've wanted to do. Everything I've done, I feel like are the dream jobs. You know, the things that like kids say when they're, you know, or, you know, young boys say when they're a kid, like, oh, I want to be a race car driver. I want to be on TV, or, you know, I want to race car. You know, like, you know, I've gotten to do that. You know, so it's kind of cool. But, you know, for me, you know, I have to remind myself, like, I'm still only 25, so I still have a lot of time to do stuff. But I want to do it. Like, I want to at least try. I at least want to give myself the opportunity to do it for real.
Well, and I think that's what's great about you is you know, you say you're fortunate to have the opportunity, but I think that you're a person who seems to create your own opportunities, which is something that so many people out there need to understand to be inspired.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, there's, you know, no point in living your one life, you know, just floating, you know, doing what you need to do. You know, I'm so happy, and that's one thing I want to get across, because a lot of people, you know, might not know that. You know, you hear like, oh, you know, you couldn't make it in acting. Oh, I hear those things. You couldn't make it in acting, so now you're trying to be a drummer. It's like, well, no, I guess to myself I did pretty well in acting. You know,
Yeah.
like I did all right. But I'm doing this because this is exactly what I want to be doing. You know what I mean? And I love it, and I'm having fun. And I really hope people, you know, maybe look at me and go, you know what, I want to do that. You know, I want to, you know, reach for my you know, set goals and go and get them, and, you know, accomplish them. And that's what I'm doing, and I'm having the time of my life doing.